Hey, welcome in everybody to the next edition of the Sports Fact News Philadelphia Eagles show, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host Andrew Santando finally again. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing very well. It's been a busy last month, but finally getting off day here and ready to jump into some big Philadelphia news that's happened, and excited to be back on here with you, Joe. How you doing?
Doing good, mostly because of our two teams in the Wells Fargo Center, not due to any
Right?
help of the other two. But we're getting into one of the other two right now, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, who now have Nick Sirianni as their head coach, Jonathan Gannon as their defensive coordinator, Shane Steichen as their offensive coordinator. I don't know who Michael Clay is, but he's the special teams coordinator. Brian Johnson as a quarterbacks coach. Passing game coordinator is Kevin Patullo. Brian Johnson is also the one that threw a screw in the hole. Is Wentz actually the guy thing? But we'll get into that later. Tight end Jason Michael. Offensive line Jeff Stoutland. Defensive line Tracy Rocker. That's actually a really good football name. I like that. Defensive backs Dennard Wilson. And there we go. That's it. But yeah, Tracy Rocker. That's the best name on the coaching staff. Congratulations, buddy. Best name on the coaching staff. But the first thing we have to start off with is obviously Sirianni. Um, from reading stuff on him, I like how he helped Philip Rivers improve and get better and everything. I just didn't see confidence in his press conference, if that makes sense. Like, I'm more confident from what I've read about him than what I saw of him, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, I'm here to bring you back on board with it. Then, um, listen, he's a guy. He's gonna come in and he's gonna do. I think he's gonna be a good coach. Yeah, you're taking a chance on a 39-year-old, but it's not like it's the first time. It's the direction the league's been going the last couple of years from all the other young guys that have been hired, and I think it's continuing that trend. You're trying to find that, and you had a guy in Frank Wright over there with Indianapolis who you're going to value his opinion, obviously, if you're Jeffrey Lurie, and it's they obviously probably talk to him, so that's the way that's going to be get done. And like you said, he got Philip Rivers comeback player of the year when he was in San Diego with him. He got helped Andrew Luck get comeback player of the year in Indianapolis. He knows how to work with quarterbacks.
Brissett did pretty good before he got injured too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a guy. It's not like he just coached the offense. He's been on the defensive side of the ball as well in his early coaching years. So I like that side of him. He's got plenty of experience all around the game. He was a wide receivers coach as well and has helped his wide receivers many of times as well. And obviously that's a big spot here that you have been down the last couple of years with wide receivers, whether it's drop passes, etc. with this team. So you have a guy that can come in and help those guys as well on top of the quarterback position. And he's been a defensive backs coach as well, which has been another issue with this team. And he's worked with them firsthand as well. And the coordinators he brought in on defense also can help with that. So I'm excited for that. As far as the press conference goes, it's a press conference. What? And this is
It's also you waited a week.
I'll let you answer this when I'm done. But like, what could he have done that would have got you been like, okay, this guy's gonna be a fantastic coach? Nothing's gonna do that in a press conference. This guy's 39 years old. He's worked his way up from the low end of coaching till now the head coaching spot. He knows what's about to happen. He knows he's going into one of the most passionate fan bases in the history of sports. Yeah. So he doesn't have an easy. It's not like he's starting out in a fan base.
I don't know, because when Doc had his press conference, I was very confident in the Sixers immediately. Like we could have had Ben Simmons be out for the season, and just by how Doc Rivers talked, I was still fully confident.
Paul, that's my point. You're talking about Doc Rivers. He's been coaching since 2000. He knows how it works.
The same goes with Vigneault with the Flyers. I was pretty confident.
Again, another veteran coach. This guy.
Gabe's not a veteran. Gabe had a pretty good first presser. Everybody liked it, and then shit hit the fan after the first game because he took Noah out in the 6th inning. But in his presser, everyone's like, damn, this dude's really motivated. This dude's like into it.
Gabe was hated from the start. Gabe never got a chance in Philadelphia to succeed.
He had a pretty press conference. He was all motivated and like hyped up and everything. I thought his press conference was pretty good. Where the big issue I had with this wasn't even the fact of just the press conference, just the fact that you waited for no reason. It seemed like you were waiting so you could tamper what you wanted said about the quarterbacks or what you wanted said about coming into the press conference. That obviously wasn't the case because all you did was talk around issues the entire time in the press conference. So what the hell did you wait a week for? Everyone else got hired and had a press conference a couple days later. Why did the Eagles hire somebody, confirm him 2 days later, and then a whole week later have him at a press conference?
Why does it matter? What's the difference if he does a press conference
because
on
it
Wednesday?
seemed like you were trying to tamper his own.
If he did the press conference on Tuesday instead of Friday, would that have mattered to you at all?
Because it seems political. That's why. It seems like you're playing politics. It seems like you're saying this is what you're allowed to say. This is what you're not allowed to say. Do not say this in the press conference or we're already pissed off at you. Say this and go along these lines. It seems like they delayed it so ownership could basically say what you're saying. That's why I feel like he wasn't confident. I feel like they delayed it and made him already kind of a puppet of the higher tier of the organization, which is Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie.
Whether he did the press conference on Friday or Monday, he would have had the same answers. Before a press conference, you're going to go in and prepare. Like you know what questions are going to come.
He's going to prepare, but I'm saying they had a whole week to basically tell him from his prepared notes, no, you're not saying that. Or like they had a whole week to basically say
they've had a month to do that since the day they fired Doug Peterson.
We're going to basically like be like your parents and nurture what words you say. And then that's what you're allowed to say. This is what you're not allowed to say. But I don't know why else you would wait that long. It just doesn't make sense when you hire someone you're excited about. Frank Wright was very excited about him. You should introduce him right away. It shouldn't be let's wait a whole week. I just didn't get that whole concept. And
first off, he didn't even get into Philly until Thursday.
Well, yeah, but that's
so maybe it was something on his side where he couldn't get to the city.
Well, if that's the case, fine, but I never saw reports of that. I just think it was the organization playing politics. But the point with this team is this team hasn't been run well since we won. First of all, I'm starting to think more and more how he got lucky that year. Because he picked up free agents that were injury prone and injured. Then all of a sudden, they did come back and do well, and they stepped up and helped us. Ever since, his free agent class sucks. He picks up guys that get injured all the time or don't perform to the level they performed on the team before, or not even remotely close.
Well, that's not his fault. That's coaching then.
Well, then you should have fired Doug 2 years ago if that's the case. But to
go off that real quick, it's not that Howie got lucky. It's more of one. Yeah, Joe Douglas here helping him draft. Howie, the only bad thing Howie is drafting. That's the only thing Howie's bad at. When it comes to the rest of the team, he's not bad. Well, we traded for Golden Tate. Fans loved that trade. Everyone thought it was a steal. He just didn't work out with the Eagles for whatever reason, whether it's quarterback, whether it's coaching. Yeah. When we signed Jason Hargrave in the offseason, everyone loved that signing. Everyone was talking about how deep our defensive line and all the defense would have been. Everyone thought that was a fantastic signing. It's not his fault it didn't work out, whether that was Jim Schwartz who put him in a bad spot. Like, Howie can only do so much. The guys he brought in the offseason, I remember all the fans loved him.
The big thing is a biggest downfall. If you're a GM and you can't draft, you don't deserve to be a GM anymore after a period of time. Because if you can keep picking up the guys to keep your team going, which is not realistic, you're not going to be a good team. And that's where the Eagles are at. You need to draft and pick up guys. You can't just pick up guys and be good in the NFL. Because especially once you pay your quarterback, because once you pay your quarterback, that's the whole downfall domino effect. You need to really then be better at drafting so you can bring in lesser valued guys until they get paid the value of what they're worth after the rookie contract. Otherwise, you don't have the money to shell out because you paid your quarterback the money that he deserved at that time. So that's really what it comes down to. They can't draft, and they already signed a guy that now seems like it might not even work. So now you have that problem, number one, and you have the problem of you have all the money allocated to him. So you need to draft now and actually hit it. If you fail on this draft, this is when you're going to start losing people.
Oh, yeah, this is a big draft. I mean, you gotta got to hit a home run with pick 6, and then obviously you'll be in the front of the rounds after that. So obviously,
Well,
yeah, you got
first
to
of
hit
all, if we pick Kyle Pitts like that one guy from CBS suggested, I'm not watching the Eagles next year. Like that's an automatic. I'm just done with this team. If we pick a tight end 6th overall, I'm not watching this team next year. I'm just announcing that right now.
that. It's an interesting case. I mean, listen, I'm not on that board as well with Kyle Pitts, but say you trade Zach Ertz like the rumor is. Now you need a tight end, and if Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase are off the board,
Yeah,
maybe
but
Pitts is the
that's
guy.
something I would sign because Dallas Goedert's supposed to be. You're talking up Dallas Goedert like he's supposed to be this next best great tight end once you let him start. You should only need like a equivalency of what like basically like Selleck was towards the end of his career as a backup, a guy that can catch it if he has to, but is good at blocking. You don't need an Ertz and Goddard because they never even fully use them well in the system anyway, which that is 100% coaching. But they never did fully use them both. So you might as well just have a blocking tight end with Dallas Goedert or something like that as your backup rather than or that one guy that did, I can't remember his name, but that one guy that made that catch in the end zone this year. That was our backup tight end, Rogers or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Richard Rodgers. He was a Green Bay before.
Somebody like that. Because you don't need any. If Goddard's really going to be that good, you don't need someone extravagant behind him. You just need a solid veteran that knows what he's doing. That'll save you money. And then you could trade for one of the wide receivers on the market and draft a wide receiver, or you could trade for one of the secondary guys on the market and draft a wide receiver, or draft a wide receiver and trade for a wide receiver and draft Surton. So, something like that. But the problem with the Eagles is I have zero confidence going into this draft because Howie Roseman, biggest Achilles heel was drafting, and he lost the one guy that I thought could help him with the draft.
I agree with that.
So that's the biggest thing with me. You let the one guy, I think he went to Detroit. Let the one guy that.
For those who don't know, Joe's talking about John Dorsey, longtime executive in the NFL. He's been fantastic for other teams. Basically helped build that Chiefs team, and then now the current Browns team. Eagles signed him, I think it was mid-December. And honestly, I heard he had a big role in signing Sirianni. And then after Sirianni got signed, he basically, I guess the Eagles kind of forced his way out almost, and Detroit was like, okay, we'll take him.
That didn't make sense to me either. How do you have a guy that's on his way out the door? like that that's also a thing that doesn't make sense to me with how this organization is run. Like that's like me quitting a job and then they're like, well, we need you to come back though and pick your successor. It's like, but I quit. It's like, no. We need you to come back and it's like, what? We need you to pick who we want to manage the whole entire brand before you quit. It's like, no, like that just
I agree.
That just didn't make any sense. Like, why would you have a guy that's leaving have that much of a input? I'm happy they did because it's John Dorsey, but it just doesn't make sense from an overall perspective why he would have that big of an input.
I will say this, something interesting, and going back to the coaching staff we hired, compared to what happened last time is, I don't know if you felt this way, but when I'm seeing Nick Sirianni sign everyone he did, to me, it almost said he had so much freedom picking who he wanted as his coordinator. And I quickly thought, why didn't Doug
I hope that's true. Yeah. I hope.
I have a hard time believing Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, with how strict they were with Doug, that they would be like, oh, yeah, let's get a 39-year-old head coach. Let's get a 35-year-old offensive coordinator. Let's get a 37-year-old defensive coordinator. Like, I have a hard time believing Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Like, that's just completely like a 180 from what they're used to doing and what fans are used to seeing with this group. So I was really – I'm not saying these guys aren't good coordinators because I love what Sirianni did, honestly. I think the coordinator he brings in Jonathan Gannon is going to keep the 4-3 system that's been with the Eagles. You can keep the majority of your players here if you like their talent. I'm saying, like, the scheme-wise, it fits them well, so you don't have to go through an overhaul.
And then Stetson was with him in San Diego, I want to say.
Yeah, he was with the
L.A.
with the Chargers, and apparently he's been a huge part of game planning out there. And listen, I've heard arguments, Chargers were bad, but what they did with Justin Herbert was fantastic. They lost games because of their defense, not because of what their offense did. Yeah. I thought their offense was pretty good, and he's made a name out of Austin Eckler as well when they lost Melvin Gordon. So I like where that offense is going. So I like that hire. I think you're going to have a big group here. But so overall, I really like the coaching staff they built. You kept Stoutland and the offensive line coach, who's been fantastic with the Eagles. So I really like that sense too. So I think the only thing left now is with Deuce leaving. I think we still need a running backs coach. I have no idea what to do with that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you saw them hire
I
someone,
don't think they hired a running back. Yeah, I'm not. I haven't. And when the thing I looked up to announce who we hired didn't have them listed. But the most confusing thing too for me is it looked like with hiring Sirianni, as soon as we hired him, you saw because of what he did for Rivers and everything, everyone's like, okay, this hiring's for Wentz. This is to try to fix Wentz. This is to try to get Carson back to being Carson. And then you hire Brian Johnson, who don't get me wrong, is a good quarterbacks coach. The thing is, he's no Jalen Hurts since he was a toddler. So like that just completely threw a wrench in what I thought we were doing when we hired Sirianni and people. I'm like, okay, we're probably going to try to make Wentz better, and then we're like, let's bring in Jalen Hurts' childhood role model, and I'm like, okay, now is Jalen Hurts the starting quarterback of the team again? Like it's. I just want this team to finally be truthful with their fans, because that's the one thing the Eagles have been horrific at, even in the Super Bowl season and the whole eternity of their franchise. They're one of the. They're similar to the Sixers in that fact. They're never 100% truthful with the fan base.
I agree, and this is where it becomes difficult. And I know we kind of got to wrap up here shortly, I think. But my thing with that hire, I think from all along when they signed him, and I said this to my brothers and stuff, this on paper might seem like a Wentz hire. However, Sirianni did great with Jacoby Brissett before Rivers, who is more of a Hurts style. So I think they know and believe that this could benefit Hurts and this can benefit Wentz, whatever direction they want to go. And I think they want to go ahead with Wentz, but the problem is your want can only do so much. And what I mean by that is you can control on who you believe is going to be the better quarterback, but if that quarterback still wants to say, okay, I want to start fresh, I want to go to whatever team, whether it's the Colts, Steelers, etc., I think that's where they're having a difficult time right now. I think they believe Sirianni can do well with both guys, but their first plan is to stick with, and that's partially the press conference too, why I don't think they had an answer, because I think they would rather go at Wentz, but they can't say that when they don't know what Wentz wants to do at this point. And that's where Wentz at some point is going to have to tell them what to do or what he wants to do. And that's why, listen, I mean, you mentioned Johnson. I think, again, his quarterback at Florida, I'm blanking on his name. I don't see him more of a Hurts style. I see him more of a Wentz style. So, again, I think he can be beneficial.
Was that Trace? Are you talking about?
I can't remember. It was it was almost a Heisman winner.
Kyle Trask was.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. It was Kyle.
Yeah.
It was Kyle. So I think you can benefit from both again with that kind of hire. But the problem again is we don't know that team really doesn't know who the starting quarterback is going to be game one. And I think that's where you see some of these hires is they're kind of preparing for both. They're getting a guy that can say, okay, he'll work well with Hurts, obviously, because he knows him. But this guy, if say Hurts isn't going to be here, this guy can also work well at Wentz. And honestly, here's the thing too. I think these hires also open the door up for taking a quarterback at 6. I'm going to say that right now. If Wentz doesn't want to be here, you trade Wentz, obviously. If they don't believe what they saw on Hurts through those 4 games, listen, if you're going to go in next year and you don't believe you have a franchise quarterback and you have to trade Wentz, and obviously, especially after seeing that Jared Goff trade, you're going to get some type of value back. You could still make that work. And depending on who you go with, you might get another first-round pick where you say, okay, at 6, we take a quarterback.
I wonder if that was the first time. My friend brought this up. 2 first overalls were moved. Because Stafford was a former first, so was Jared.
Yeah, I don't know. That's good. That's a good question. I don't know. It's a good question to look up. But, yeah, and that's where I think they're at right now is, you know what? If Wentz doesn't want to be here, you trade Wentz to whatever team. Say, let's just throw the Jets out there. I'm just going to pick a team. Say you trade with the Jets. You're not getting number 2, don't get me wrong. But you can get number 23. And then now you got picks 6 and 23 where you might go, okay, at 6, let's take, I don't know, whatever quarterback's still there. And then at 23, you get that wide receiver. Because this is supposed to be wide receiver.
If they get 2 picks, I could see them doing that. I think if they can't get 2 picks and they went for a player or something of that said nature or didn't get, I feel like the only way fans would be okay picking a quarterback is if they had another first round pick.
It all depends on what they do it Wentz. Like if Wentz and Hurts are still on this roster come draft time, and you do that, oh, then I am not on board with it. That's all I'm saying is like it all depends on what you do with those quarterbacks. That's the only way you even look at a quarterback, in my opinion, at 6 if Wentz and Hurts are off this roster.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that would make sense. And then you would have to the thing with Hurts is I'm not sure if you played him enough to his full effect after the first couple games, letting him run as much as you did early on in the first couple games to have his trade value be as high as it could be. But you could get something for him. But I think if we kind of ran more read options and stuff of that nature in the last couple games, it would have heightened his trade value even more rather than getting a little pass happy with Jalen Hurts in. So, but I think you'll get something for him. Wentz, you're obviously going to get something for after you saw the Jared Goff trade, because Wentz is better than Jared Goff. So that is definitely true. For me, I don't really care. I just need somebody to be truthful for once in their lives when it comes to this organization. After I'll give it to the end of February. And then at the end of February into the beginning of March, somebody better know somewhere at the beginning of March what the heck's going on so you can start planning more for the draft if you are going to trade one or both of your quarterbacks. Because if you're in the beginning of March coming into a draft that's about a month and a couple weeks out, and you're still like, well, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What does he want to do? Well, what does this guy want to do over here? And you're just like, well, someone figure it out. I don't care if
you're 1,000% absolutely right. At some point, Jeffrey Lurie's got to call Wentz and say, listen, if you want to be here, this is your team next year to start. If you don't want to be here, you got to let us know. We got to know the direction. You can't sit and play the waiting game. Because Wentz honestly has no incentive to tell you whenever. Because if he wants out, the later he waits, the more difficult it's going to be on the Eagles. And if he's leaving the team, one, he's obviously not happy. And two, obviously, if he's going to a different team, he doesn't want to help another team. So he's really got no incentive to be in a rush here because either way, he's still getting the money. So listen, yeah, if you're Jeffrey Lurie, at some point you got to be. And if Wentz says, I don't have an answer for you right now, then maybe you take that as he doesn't want to be here. Because if he can't fully say, I want to be here and lead this team next season, then do you really want to be here? He's definitely questioning it at least.
Yeah, no, that's true. I would say per reports, I would have to lean towards probably not. But, I mean, we don't know because we haven't seen anything since the end of the season. But a lot of the end of the season didn't seem like Wentz was too peachy keen with Jeffrey Lurie is probably the nice way of saying that, as the season wrapped up. So, yeah, usually as we see with Deshaun, when it's an owner problem, you can't do anything about it. Because you're not going to have the owner sell the team just so you can keep your quarterback. If it's a general manager problem, then you can just be like, yeah, sorry, buddy, but get out of here. And then you just hire.
What's for Deshaun straight up? Who says no?
That's not going to happen, yeah. If they do that, the coach that just got hired might just quit if they did that straight up for how good of a David Coley, for how good of a MVP season Deshaun just had. But no, I see what you're saying. I think from, like I said, on paper, reading stuff, I like the coaching staff and the people we hired. I just have to see it come into fruition now and not have what seems like tampered dialogue because you guys can't even figure out what's going on in your own organization. And that's not on the new coaching staff. That's on Howie and Jeffrey Lurie for putting the new coaching staff in a spot where they have no idea what the hell's going on in their own organization. So that's why he might have been a little bit unconfident, but then that's not fair to Sirianni if you sent him out there to look unconfident because you guys couldn't instill confidence with any pieces of information whatsoever that he could use to instead of just keep repeating the same thing 7 separate times. Like that's my big thing. I think you already set the guy up for failure once in his press conference. So what says you're not going to do that again in the future? That's what I'm worried about.
That's fair. You have the right to believe that, especially off the way they've treated everybody else. I'm not taking much from the press conference. It's what I expected. I knew they wouldn't have a quarterback answer. I mean, I expect the guy to be pretty nervous. He first time being a head coach, first time he's got a real press conference like that. He knows what kind of city he's in terms of, like, whether it's his first year or 20th year, if he goes five, I mean, look what just happened to Doug. He knows if he has another 4-12 season, he could be out next year. I mean, they just got rid of a Super Bowl winning coach from two or 3 years ago, so he knows the pressure that's on him right now. So again, 39-year-old kid coming in and being in a tough spot. I expected some nervousness. I know it doesn't look well, but I'm not going to take much by it because when it's all said and done, I don't care if he's nervous in front of the press. All I care about is what he does in that locker room with the 53 guys that are going to be playing for him on Sundays. And if he has them buying into whatever he believes in, that's all I care about. And I think it's a tough spot there. I will say, I'm sure the players are kind of concerned, though, with the way the front office directs things, and that's where you got to be concerned.
No, I completely agree with that. I'm sure there's some J.J. Watts on our team, too, where J.J. with the Texans is not as much hung-ho as Deshaun, but even he said, yeah, this is starting to get ridiculous when it comes to how the Texans are ran. So I'm sure there's people on the team other than just Carson Wentz that are going, yeah, this is a little bit ridiculous how this team is ran from the top. And yeah, that's going to be something that will cause issues down the line if that is the case. And you can't do anything about that because the owner's not going to sell the team to appease a couple of guys on the team. They're just going to be gone, and that's going to be that's pretty much going to be that. But we covered a pretty good bit here in this half hour. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe as always. We wish, obviously, our coaching staff and Nick Sirianni the best and the best of luck that you're going to very much need with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey.
With fans, the front office, everything.
So good luck. And everybody have a great, safe, and pleasant week. Be careful out there in the snow if you are from the Northeast. This has been the Sports Fanatic News Philadelphia Eagles offseason check-in. The coaching staff is here, minus a running backs coach. Andrew, your Twitter is still AJ_Santangelo. Check him out there. Check out the Pub Sports Radio baseball show if you're a baseball guy as well that he's on. And then me, the Sports Fanatic News page at JJ Boric 26. Have a great, safe, and pleasant day, everybody. Peace out.